Good evening, Stonegate audience. I hope everyone is doing well out there. Welcome from the windswept plains of Ohio. We've got a major windstorm going on here today. We have gusts of up to 60 miles per hour. So hopefully I do not get swept off to Oz while we are speaking here. I guess that would go down in the, the books of note investing history, the first one ever. So I have a follow-up tonight for you is what we have in store. Last week I told you about some of the assets that I looked at here in Ohio that was on a tape. I told you I've looked at a total of 4 myself personally, and 2 of them were in really bad shape, and one of them was just okay, it was occupied. But I told you the last one really had a lot of potential. So in just the course of one single week, lots happened with that one. So I think I told you that I had submitted an offer and I had gotten a counter offer on it back that was just a little bit more than what I agreed to, what I originally offered. So I did actually accept that offer. That note, the counteroffer it's not exact numbers for ease of calculation, but that note was around $18,000. I think I mentioned that house actually had a sign from a realtor sitting in the front yard. So I did know that the home was for sale. And I was just thinking it was going to be a really good investment, actually. I had a couple of plans in mind. I thought it was in good enough shape. I could possibly have just sold it as is, or I could also have turned around and turned it into a rental a la Dan Zatofsky and then sold it eventually as a turnkey rental. But what ended up happening, unfortunately, I'm going to show you why I say that with great sadness. The house ended up being sold out from, I guess you could say, underneath me. I said that I wanted the house on Wednesday, and I said, let's try to get this done quickly. And I did end up getting a title report. And what ended up happening then on Friday, they sent me a purchase and sale contract, and I saw while I was at work, but then by the time I got home, I got another message saying that the house had been sold. And so that obviously I could not buy the note if the house had been sold. So that was sad, not going to lie. So that got me to thinking, though, what would have happened if we were talking literally about 2 to 3 hours was the difference there. So what would have happened if I had been able to buy the note? So I don't know for 100% certain. I did look up the house was for sale for $42,000. Say that they didn't quite sell it for that. Say that the sales price was maybe $40,000. Say that the realtor cost of 6% would have cost me $2,400. Say that closing cost would have been approximately $2,000. Again, these are just reasonable guesses. They might be a little bit off one way or the other. But if you take that sales price of $40,000 and you subtract those costs, you end up with a total of $17,600. So that would have been pretty darn good considering my investment would have been $18,000. If you look at my profit compared to what I had paid into it, that would have meant a return of 97.8%. But it gets even better because that would have been in approximately about 1 month. Maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, but approximately 1 month. Most people, including myself, think of investments in terms of an annual return. So just for kicks, yes, I did do this to myself. Times 97.8% times 12 equals 1,173%. So it's, sometimes you don't know whether to laugh or cry, but I guess I tried to look at the good side of this. For one thing, my instincts were right. The house was not in that bad a shape and probably would have made a good investment. So yay, I did that right. One other thought was the thing that slowed me down between Wednesday and Friday was getting a title report. So getting that title report, I could have possibly just said I'll buy it without it. That would have been a shortcut, which was the point of my Facebook post. In this particular instance, that might have worked out okay because I did get the title report and it was pretty clean. But what if that title report had a whole bunch of flaws on it? And then I would have ended up taking the property back, and I guess I could have eventually foreclosed to wipe a bunch of other liens off. But then I would not have gotten as good of a return as I was talking about here. So I decided not to be too hard on myself for the fact that, we were literally talking 2 days, is what it took to get that title report. And I almost had the deal anyway. We were literally talking, I think it was about 11:30 that they sent me the contract, and 2 o'clock when they told me that the house was going up for sale. So literally about 1 more hour I would have had this, and that's how it would have worked out. So don't shed a tear for me. I learned some things in the process. Sometimes shortcuts can be a good thing. Sometimes they can actually be a bad thing. I learned this myself. I was in the gym and made sure this week I was working out extra hard yesterday, partly because I was frustrated by this, and learn the benefits, really making sure you go through that full range of motion. So that is my story of tonight, the follow-up from last week. So the house was in good shape. Not great shape now. I want to be clear. The house sold for just $40,000, but it wasn't a complete wreck like some of the other ones that I looked at. So that's how the costs would have all broken down. So I hope you all learned something from this experience. I know I did, and I will keep looking, and hopefully another deal like this will fall into my lap sooner rather than later. All right. Thank you very much, those of you that joined in here, and we'll see you next week. And until then, that is how you climb the hill. Thank you very much. Have a great night. Bye-bye.